Today is the 1st July 2022. We have a celebration, looks like in America as July 4th or something like this. It's a great day for Americans. And we will have a conversation here, kind of talking about some issues. The first one, we will check that we have the first and very previous conversation with the US Supreme Court, our most ancient bald-head friend. And we could invite him to be at the Nobel Prize, considering a new disease may be, and of course that we, you know, beef this thing up by elements that allow you to understand that the lead time as cure can impact the development of your disease and reduce the chances as a tragic event by this disease, a general thing. And by inference we could apply this in many areas. And what's the idea? As database signal during the very middle as COVID-19, which we could understand by this that maybe you can have elements to do not have peace or to create some evil that will impact other event that is ongoing and will change the pace of this regular event, I would say, can impact as something that will advance and increase the structural model as this event, or impact changing the pace as this event for something lower and with a slow pace. And this is the idea as treatment, considering that our life is limited. In general, we got hotter in our body, and sometimes by the lack of cognitive and reasons you but disease in order as a person, individual, group, or an entire nation, or even as this pandemic crime as observed in the entire humanity. And of course that this kind of thing going by diffuse areas will impact we all. And the diffuse areas, like the World Wide Web as the internet, having provided and the communication service. And we have a law in Brazil saying my basic rights at the communication service, and my relation with the provider at the consumership, and the consumer is a diffuse area like the World Wide Web. It means that you have a duplicity or a collinear event impacted by integrated failure, segmented by institutions unable to present their reasons by law. And of course that this will hurt my basic rights, my guarantees as development, think, creation, or even have this conversation with you, my new friend Mr. John Roberts. I took a look at your resume, and you are an American lawyer, the 70th chief of the American Supreme Court, and of course that you are a jurist or something like this. You had birth on Buffalo, New York, and we are the Kia Bulls. I am a DJ, so I like to set events and sometimes make people sing and make people dance, and we will have an event. I have a DJ with me. Maybe it's a piece, relevant piece as your structure as defense was the Secretary of Department in USA during one specific administration that is ongoing under an uncomfortable situation. And let's suppose that I'm doing this by free will, by goodwill, since from the very beginning and all the time. But you like music. And kind of, we like to have great singers and great dancers. And we decide to maybe have three boats. But to have three boats as a big party until 2028 since 2022 because we raised the budget as a crime budget with essential clause from my legal right as compensation by a violation suffered at my private living as development even as my intimacy as have my thoughts and present these arguments for you, Supreme Court USA. And this legal right as a compensation by interest impacted considering my email accounts, my social media, and risks as violations on it that we can confirm using our model that we had the COBOL as you could get in the last presentation here on Saquarema City, provide the Internet Amigo plus the mobile as Vivo. We will have the cross-cut by three different fields, and we had the comparative, I would say, or the similarity with the Heckscher model, which is a model in economy by the cross-cut as two different areas, and we have this applied at the international economy. We have a big head on America, New York, maybe your neighbor. It's, I forgot the name. He write papers on a tabloid or something like this. It's the, I think that he got a Nobel Prize once. His name is Krugman, Paul Krugman. See? My memory is awful. Sometimes you erase this. Then we will check that this is our model. We had this in the last conversation. And some moments before we had that I'm doing a research as my regular profession as a DJ. And I was evidencing the corruption at the dance floor because we like house music and sometimes you play crap music, and I'm not allowing this in my house because our house has a keeper, and this keeper like jack can put all jacks together, and you may be black, you may be white, you may be Jewish or Gentile. It doesn't make a difference in our house. You will consider uneven. Yesterday, period, observed on time, space segmented, Brazil, Rio de Janeiro Federative Unit, Rio de Janeiro City. Observation, not authorized access at Norton, considering public department and institutions, plus peers as corporate chairs and officers associated with. At this event, having the not authorized access at my Norton account. Yesterday and today on Saquarema City, considering the provider, the not authorized, the not proper service offered by the provider, considering interference on it to track and understand my instruments connected at my service paid as consumer, violating basic rights that the consumer law in Brazil. We are using this only to present this argument to you. We have the event on Rio de Janeiro considering the Norton, and the access was made to check which machines are logged at my account, but you shouldn't have this access. And why do you have this interest? Criminal offender that like to call criminal as vagabonds. So are you a vagabond? Criminal offender. Then we'll have the Saquarema City considering the provider and instruments logged that shouldn't be a piece of interest, and the crosscut between two both will have the events as Rio de Janeiro Norte will have the events and Saquarema by the provider. Considering that I have the same instrument at the machine as Microsoft and the Norton antivirus, can you consider have the Interpol here at this local area, Saquarema City plus OECD, to have the hearing procedure of our authorities in Rio de Janeiro City, Rio de Janeiro State, and Saquarema City belongs to Rio de Janeiro State, to both belongs to the Brazil. Take a look at the board, we have that frequency. As you could observe and prove, and we are proving one more time your crime as obstruction of justice. From this point, we could have the regression from our global event, considering only the regular nations as 197 and simulating that they all have constitution failure cut, Brazil 55, as you can observe. Regression from 55 to 021 as Rio de Janeiro Federative Unit. Division, we will have 0 up to 27 federative units and 0 up to more than 5,000 seats, but we will consider the seat 21 as Rio de Janeiro, 22 as Saquarema. This is the regression. From this point, the regression, considering the hearing procedure by the embassy, by the Interpol and the OECD, inviting them to be at the embassy and do this by an international and intergovernmental player, we will have the progression from those two areas, considering the association at the stage that will lead to the 55 as something that goes only at 55, which is the public budget by a unique treasury in Brazil. And if we could have that the criminals are pretty much the same, the violations observed here, which is impacting the cybercrime, probably will carry with fake records as financial records at the cyberspace, dealing with fintech crimes, can be observed as fraud management at the financial system, white-collar crime law in Brazil. And if you, for instance, are doing the obstruction to do not suffer the consequence, indeed is something as an advantage that you are taking, but by a wrongdoing at the department or the office or the coalition, by the do not dismiss procedure that you didn't have because you had no integrity to do, as a criminal offender with an integrated failure continues since 1988, and you are inside our boat. As a need, you will sing or you will dance. And from Brazil, we'll check all things, and as we told you, your matrix will fail by one single element here, considering the two indexes as collinear by the stage, and those states collinear at the Brazil, and Brazil at the globe. This is a storage, we work this as big data. The idea is database sigma is do not have the dependence of unique source as World Bank by the administration that sometimes can be lenient or very cooperative with purposes that are not legal. We will move to the second part.